What's up, fellow lords of gaming, and welcome back to the channel. So today we're diving back into Marvel Future Fight content. I've been off playing some BDO, been pretty deep into that just because I've been having a lot of fun with it, going back into that and trying to level up my character. But I wanted to give you guys, while I was still on the hunt here for her potential, for Black Swan's potential, which has taken me forever and a day. I wanted to give you guys an update on the demon and the devil, or the demon and the angel, right? So that's what this video is going to be about. We're literally going to be taking a look at both of these characters, Angel and Satana. So let's start with the easiest of the two here, which is Satana, right? Number one, this is waifu costume all day. They knew exactly who the intended audience was for this for this outfit, right? It looks good. Overall, I think like this outfit looks pretty slick, but I think most of this is into the boba kind of category. You know, like you love your isekai, you love your things like that. You know, that's what you're basically appealing for. There's not like a lot of depth in here, the way like Thanos's uniform is, but there like, you know, like where it falls apart for me especially is like if you look at the leggings right here, there's almost like no distinguishing difference between where the legging, well, the boot, legging, whatever's supposed to be, begins and ends. And then even like on her, like, you know, the little like thigh necklace, whatever, thigh brace, there's just not a whole lot of distinction there. Now I think a lot of the rest of the uniform, in terms of like this long skirt and the wings and even the horns, they really pop. I think her hair looks really good. Like Black Swan hair doesn't hold up to hers, in my opinion. Everything about the uniform though, overall, I would say like a solid 8. Like I think they did a pretty damn good job of selling off a boba uniform, right? Now, if you're going to be trying to level this character up specifically to get to level 70, I'm going to tell you truthfully what you're basically looking at, right? I don't really see a reason that you need to hit this uniform upgrade, period. Like, that's the truth of the matter, right? And I'm going to tell you why in a moment. Well, I'll tell you why right now, is because this character is largely a support type character, support leadership type character. You're not going to really be playing this character in terms of trying to like utilize her so that way she's going to be your main DPS character. That's the faultiness. We're in that era right now where the majority of the content requires you to have T4 characters, and having a transcendence character, there's going to be better options. Unfortunately, that's the truth. But if you are looking for that, don't forget that you can get her bios through the Dark Dimension Epic Quest for Sorcerer Supremes. It's called a Dark Dimension, but it's really called the Dark Advent. So you can see her here. She's listed as biometrics, and then you can also get some dimension shift rewards for Clea as well. I don't believe she's available in any of the other ones, but you know, for those epic quests for Strange, but take a look at those and you can get those. Like, I don't believe she's anywhere else inside of here though. So if you need those and you're really looking, but like I said, there's not a whole lot of reason for you to really need to go for that uniform upgrade, especially like I think there's better places for you to basically spend your resources. So like I'm going to show you something real quick here. So if you go over to my details, essentially for this character, you can see like I'm at max basically for dodge, crit damage, attack speed, ignore defense, and I'm like little underneath 10% from the max for crit rate and a little under 5% here for the reduced cooldown. If you're really wanting to play the character, you know, you can make up for that in terms of like the character gear options. You can see here I don't even have the recovery rate fully up, so I can change that option, and you can make up for some of it inside of like your ISO 8, and then the same inside of like the custom gears that you use, like get a crit rate custom gear, and you'll be good to go with that. So like I would say, like if you're a free-to-play player and you're trying to progress the story, she's not a character that you necessarily need to invest funds in for anything outside of her skills. So let's take a look at what I mean by her skills. So number one, right off the bat, is going to be her leadership. We've all been using her for that 70% leadership for quite some time for fire damage. So basically, if you're a nut and you're running Jean Greys or you're running Ghost Riders, this is where she excels. I think Ghost Rider already has his team, so you don't really want to use her there. But if you're using Jean Grey, especially in PvP, this is the character that you basically want to use for that. You know, she's going to be really serving for you there. Now, she gives herself a nice buff of 30% energy and the decreased basic damage received. But like I said, she's like a backup character more than she is like the lead star. So even when you go inside here and you take a look at the uniform effect, she's going to get that increased damage to all elements. This is the main reason why you want to purchase this. Now, I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. It's not that great. Like, there are other characters who do the element damage bonus way better than she does. I think I was watching a video by Beast Mode Gaming, so go over and check out his videos. When he did his Satana review, like, I felt bad because I was already in the process of doing mine, and then I was like, man, I'm gonna feel like I'm copying whatever he's doing. But whatever, content's content, right? There are other characters who do far better jobs in terms of this. So I agree with Beast Mode in the sense that, like, if you're specifically purchasing it for this 35% bonus, there are other characters that can do this better. Like, you know, whether you're looking at the Ancient One, whether you're looking at Storm, there are other characters who can simply just do this better. She's probably a cheaper option than many, but there are other characters who are going to give you that bonus a lot better. And it's kind of sad because it's like they're half selling you, especially because of the fact that, you know, you can't really do anything with this character in terms of, like, is she going to be usable someplace else for you? So it's kind of hard to sit here and say this too, right? Because I want to give credit to the VFX team. Like, while the uniform isn't necessarily hitting like Thanos, let's take a look at these skills, because they are. Overall, I think in the update, she's got some of the better looking skills from all the characters that were released. Black Swan kind of hits up there for me, so it's like a little bit weird, but let's take a look at these skills. So her first skill, basically little summons that basically happens. I like the little bow Cupid kind of arrow that basically comes out. Let's take a look at that one from the side. Let me turn her the skill, the skill cooldown. But let's take a look at this one overall. Okay, so from the side it looks better. So we get the little arrow, little shots that basically rain down. We get her third skill, and you basically get like this almost like angel fire circle that looks really cool. If you watch, you know, Supernatural and stuff like that, you know why I call it angel fire. But it looks really cool. Like, to me, the skill looks kind of cool. It's not a whole lot going on except for that little circle, but I just love the way the pulsating waves kind of like roll in and roll out. Like, look at that. It looks like there's a wave happening of golden like light. It looks really cool to me. And then you got her fourth skill, where she basically summons down this, like, she summons down this sword, and it's really, really cool. Like, she shines that area, and then you basically see the sword like land. That's like chef's kiss right there in terms of what they did for this skill. Like, there's the little details that, you know, often get missed because we're just mashing through rotations, but I think that looks really, really amazing for the character. It looks really, really good. And then we get the fifth skill, which is a V-pad fifth skill that just like looks absolutely bonkers to me. Like, it's really cool, and it's a charm skill too, so that makes it even cooler to me, right? Because it's a charm skill that gives her heal over time and does damage, you know, basically snares people inside of it. It looks really, really good to me overall. Like, I really like it. And then we've got her transcendence, basically with Damon Hellstrom with the, you know, light ball. She basically like the Dinky Dama, whatever the hell you call it, from Dragon Ball Z. But this over here basically looking like it's a skill from Diablo. I like it. I like it a lot. I think the character, like the skills inside of here, it's the reason why, like, I get pissed off a lot of times, because let's be honest, we're playing, like, you know, you're playing a Barbie collector. You've got to know that at this point, right? Like, this is just an absolutely ridiculous looking skill. Here goes something I didn't even notice. I don't know if this is like broken or not, but basically when she goes into that VFX, you notice she gets more wings. There's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So she ends up with 6 wings. That's cool. Like, that's cool. I don't know why, but that's cool. Like, I like it. Yeah, it's like, to be honest with you, it's a really pop-in uniform to me, and in my belief of that. Like, I really like the skill. It's just, where is her place in the game, especially at this time? So, like, let's take a look real quick. So she is a universal. Wait, oh, hold on a second. I forgot. Is she a villain in this one? Is she a villain? So no, she's a superhero female. Universal superhero female. So, like, when you're basically looking at her, you come over here and so let's take a look at this character real quick. All elements. So she's a universal superhero female inside of the game. We don't really care about species. We'll leave that alone. And these are essentially the characters that she's competing against inside of this update. Now, there's not a whole lot of characters basically behind her. I still haven't maxed out my Sylvie yet, just because wasn't really that interested in her. But so she's looking at comparing to characters that you could, like, you know, Captain Marvel is going to be a far better T4 for you to go in terms of that. You know, we've got her coming around at some point. Like, you just gotta know. You also got the Rachel Summers, who's probably going to be a better character for you overall. I don't know, especially with the Eternals 2 being canceled, I don't know that we're coming back to this, but you also get Shadow Shell, who's a T4 available to you as well. I doubt Medusa's ever coming back around for this, but you could go the route that, you know, Clea maybe could receive an update at some point. Quasar has her Transcendence. I doubt she's going to be as good as her, but with inside this pool of female characters, you basically got other options that's there. And she's basically a support character. So the best thing that you could do, throw an insight, a CTP of insight on her if you have it, and then just rock that, or you can play with her inside there. I just don't see a reason outside of basically playing the support type role that you would use this character. Does that mean that she can't get by content? That does not mean that. Like, I've played her inside like gore and stuff like that, and she has had a good rotation skills inside there in terms of, like, it is a little difficult because she has like cooldowns. So let's take a look at those real quick. I don't know why I didn't look at those really quickly anyways. So you can look at her practice combo. 4-3-5 is the combo, right? So we can go 4-3 and then a little bit of a delay cancel into 5, and then you can just basically rotate on that 5th skill, right? So a little easy to play because she's going to snare enemies basically inside there, and then it's just 6-4-3-5. So you go 6-4-3 and then a little bit delay cancel directly into 5. Most of the damage though on this skill is happening on that 5th, so it's like you're rotating through there. I just don't like, basically put it this way, when I'm playing World Boss, am I going to use a transcendent character that's not hitting quite like Moonstone used to hit when she got Transcendence and was hitting upward, up above her weight like nobody else? I'm probably not. I'm probably going to use one of the other characters, but I will have to say, like, she is a very beautiful character kit inside here. I think it looks good. I just think that there needs to be more oomph to the power inside of her kit. So like, I would literally say, like, at this point, I think the character looks good, and if you're a fan of the look, then know that you're purchasing it for that look, because I don't feel like it feels bad that this is a seasonal uniform. You basically have to opt in and get it now. The best option for you to purchase that uniform is going to straight up be to come in here and purchase the Black Swan Legend token pack at this point, so that way you can get the crystals and get the Black Swan event tokens. I got lucky and used those inside the Black Swan shop or the event shop down here and purchased the artifacts, and I got lucky and got Black Swan's 4-star. I didn't get the 5-star, so you know, it is what it is. But yeah. So now we're going to move over into Angel, who may have a little bit more value on him, given the fact that he is going to be a superhero male. So he's superhero speed male. Yeah. Okay. So before we get into his uniform, let's start there, because I like to get the good stuff before I just layer all the bad stuff. Now, number one, Angel definitely looks like he's been like stripped from the pages of WoW, and basically, you know, Blood Elf, Night Elf, whatever, Mohawk, whatever. That's what he basically looks like, you know, straight up from, like, that's all I can see when I look at this uniform. Is it a good looking uniform? I think so. Like, I'm gonna give them credit where credit's due. It definitely is a different look for Angel, and it looks. Here goes my thing. I think everything outside of the wings look good. The wings is where it starts to fall apart for me, because the wings look like almost like they're 3D background. Like, you know, when you watch a video and somebody's standing in a green screen, that's what it almost looks like. They look toyish, and then you get his body, which looks very realish, and it's just strikingly different from all of the, you know, metals and stuff like this. All I could really think of when I saw this, besides WoW, was Bastard. I don't know if you've seen that show on Netflix, but go take a look at it. It was like the heavy metal, you know, like fantasy genre show. That's all that's like what's happening here. Like, if it had not had the wings, I would have just been thinking about that. I think there's a lot of detail inside the uniform, specifically on like a lot of the metal objects, from his bracers to his belt and to, you know, the knee pads and stuff like that. It looks really good. Can't complain about it too much, right? Like, even around the backside here, the fishnet that he has, which I'm not sure where the connection pieces and stuff like that are, but it's there, right? Now, when you're comparing Angel, though, let's take a look at his, because you're basically comparing him to other speed superhero males, right? And this is my main problem with Angel, is the lineup and the list of guys that you basically have outside of him. So number one, we know more than likely you're getting a Deadpool update at some point this year, right? With the Deadpool movie releasing and Deadpool's supposed to be the savior of the MCU, my guys, I just don't see him beating out the T4 and Deadpool with the many uniforms that he has. Behind him, we've got Captain America or Falcon, whatever you want to call him, Sam Wilson. I find it hard to believe that you're beating him out when he gets his update for the Brave New World movie that they're doing for him. Hawkeye already has his T4 and doesn't have his T4. Why did I forget that he doesn't have his T4 yet? So Hawkeye doesn't have a T4 yet, but at some point, all the Avengers, most of them already have a T4. So I got to imagine we're coming back to Hawkeye for this, right? Bucky Barnes, my man's Bucky Barnes is sitting here for you. No T4 either. I've got to imagine when this Brave New World drops that we're probably going to see some of these characters get T4s. And when that happens, I just don't know that he's there. He's not gonna I've only got him at Transcendence with level 80. I don't plan on T4 him. I told you guys before, I don't think a lot of people will T4 him. And the problems essentially is that, you know, Spider-Man and Miles Morales Spider-Man are more powerful than him, to be perfectly honest. Daredevil as another character, we're preparing for the Daredevil uniforms. They've been like hit or miss on whether they do the shows from Disney or whatever. But if he comes out with a show, when his show drops, we essentially end up with another character there that's getting T4'd and is potentially more powerful than this Angel right here. Like, I hate to say that, right? So there's a lineup of characters there that essentially you're probably saying like, hey, are these characters probably going to be more powerful, or, you know, investments? I didn't even think about Quicksilver. Oh my God. So he fits the bill for mutants as well. Like, I mean, we're coming back around to these characters. You guys have to recognize. So when you talk about investment inside the speed category, specifically male, I think that the roster is too deep for characters who are going to potentially receive their T4 and be better and be as good, if not better. Like, that's just the bottom line truth. I mean, even somebody as simple as Sunbird, who's got his Transcendence at this point but hasn't received the T4, he's an OG type character, and there's high likelihood that we end up coming right back around to having him get an update as well. So it's one of those things where it's like, do you want to invest inside of Angel to basically get him T4? Now, if you just have the materials, then you have the materials. The good thing about it as well is that Angel is part of the tier 4 upgrade support mission. So you can use the supports here to basically use for Angel as well. That's for the discounts on you. I just don't see it. Is he bad? No, he's not a bad character at all. So let's take a look at some of his skills anyways. So number one, let's take a look at the uniform options. So the uniform options, you get Shadow Shell, Malekith, Domino, Nick Fury. That was the bad one, I think it was. And then you get Black Silver Surfer. So he's like hitting a 3 out of 5 basically on uniforms, because these 3 not bad uniforms, but then these 2 you're like, oh, what the hell, bro? So like, not bad uniform options. But let's take a look at his skills as well. So you can see his passive self-healing buff, right? His second passive self buff, but it's a nice 30 and 40 for ignore targets dodge rate. And then you get to all allies, he gives a nice 50% increase of recovery rate, and the dodge rate increases by 30%. But I want to show you something. So over here, his uniform effect, you can see here, is remove all debuffs from all allies. So potentially being a mutant support type character to basically be Strife and remove those debuffs. But here goes the part that I really wasn't too happy with, right? If you notice, the uniform effect on his previous uniform was the dodge rate increased by 30% and the 50% increase of recovery rate. Yeah. So I want to show you guys this, right? And then so let's leave this one equip, and then we can look at the skills. And then you look at his leadership over here, and it was to remove all debuffs. So what they did essentially was really lazy, and it really pisses me off, because essentially what you're selling this uniform at right now is basically just that. So if you look at it, it's just a switcheroony. So now his leadership was the old uniform effect, and the uniform effect is his old leadership. They just basically switched the two around, and I feel like that's very, very disingenuous. I feel like that's like bullshit. At best, you know, it's like lazy. At worst, is bullshit that you're selling me a uniform in this regard, because at that point you could have just made him a T4 and literally just left the uniform alone. Now there's some there's some additional increases to his other skills and things like that, but like, do they warrant essentially that? I don't know. It's really hard to say. So let's take a look at some of his skills though real quick inside here, and let's go through them. So first skill inside of here, nothing really there. I like the iframes on them. Second skill, then we get his third skill inside of here. Nice little skill there, just nothing that I'm like really like, hey, I need to have that skill, right? So then we go his fifth skill, and I like the fifth skill, like a lot of pop from the Hellfire inside there, right? Now, here goes the problem even more with Angel though, right? And I'm going to show you this inside of his thing of about purchasing. Is the character bad? No. He's going to be able to complete some content for you for sure. Is he needed to complete the content? No. Especially where the new boss is speed type, you have more value inside combat class characters and stuff like that, you know, with Black Swan, who's most people are going to be wanting to play that Black Swan stage, right? But let's take a look at the other problem with my man Angel here. Is essentially, you look at some of these skills, right? And if you look at all these skills, he's pretty much built out to be like playable for PvP is what they intended him for, but he doesn't have a whole lot of the stuff necessarily to be a PvP type character. And I tried to play with him inside of PvP, and he just wasn't getting the job done. Like, that's just the truth. So you're essentially looking at a character that's a costume rather, that's built for PvP, that doesn't work for PvP, that you're going to use inside PvE, that is not going to be as good as your other speed type, you know, PvE type characters to get the same job done. And that's the problem. But it is a seasonal uniform, so this is going to be down to how much a fan of Angel you are and how much resources you have. If you're not a huge fan of Angel and you're going to plan on T-form, I would say that the uniform is a pass. Like, you know, it is what it is. It's a pass in that sense. If you're up against the resources, I wouldn't purchase it, especially with Deadpool right down the road coming around. I would be saving for that. I'd be saving for the anniversary that's coming down the road. That's essentially where we're at. So like, I hate to be that guy, right? Because I love praising the team when they put the work in, and they definitely put the work in on these uniforms. Angel's skills look pretty damn good, but I did get very pissed off when I noticed that Angel's skills for basically uniform effect and leadership were just switched around from his previous uniform. Like, I mean, going back to this uniform, like this uniform was the perfect Angel Worthington uniform for me. Like it just was. Like, to be honest with you, I really love that uniform. Like it just looked really good. But when you get down to facts that this is what they essentially did with the uniform, where like, here goes the skills. Notice what the skills are, right? They're definitely changed skills, you know, slightly, you know what I mean? Like, he's doing the same shit. So like, I just don't know that uniform was needed to basically be created. I really don't know. Look, I'm not going to complain. I purchased the uniform, but I'm trying to make sure that the free-to-play players, because obviously if you're a whale and you've been playing the game or whatever, you're gonna buy what you're gonna buy. It's definitely going to be a little bit of an upgrade from what his previous uniform is, and I'll show you guys some of that in another video. But that's where I stand on the Angel and Satana uniforms. I think they're pretty good. Overall, it's just, I don't know where they're placed at in the game as currently being released. I'm still working on my Black Swan and the review, the you know, the videos in progress. So I'll try to get that around to you guys as soon as possible. But she's looking to be beastly right now from all my anticipations. So I'm looking forward to getting her up to finalizing that next potential and ranking her up. Very expensive, but there you guys have it. So whether or not you purchase that Angel and Satana uniform is completely like dependent on your needs. Understanding, like I said, that, you know, purchasing the Satana uniform, you're basically in a bind because there are other characters' uniforms who do what she does better, and getting that 70% the 70% leadership buff, you already have that on other uniforms. So you're basically holding out that it is an upgrade from her previous, which means you could use her in Shadowlands and stuff like that, and makes it a little bit better in that regard. But you kind of get pushed off into that, and then you're basically looking at, you know, Angel, and he just kind of pisses me off. But, you know, he's not going to do what he needs to do for you inside PvP. He's going to be serviceable for you inside PvE, but there's other characters who do it better currently, and characters behind him who are probably going to do it better. So you really have to, you know, look at your wallet, look at your resources, and make that determination for you. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I plan on bringing you some content of these guys inside PvE. Until then, peace.